How you doing, everyone? Welcome along to this video. So a PMR video plus Automobilista 2 video this time, not just a PMR. So the Lister Storm, this was the poster child really for Project Motor Racing in its sort of infancy and all the screenshots and stuff like that. Yes, the image for the actual game itself is part of the Nürburgring, and you've got an LMDH car there, but behind it is still the Lister Storm. So had this idea a few days ago. I've just noticed before I could actually put this video together, somebody else has done a sort of comparison, but only a sort of side-by-side video of the two sort of cars, and that's it. What I wanted to do, I wanted to do a side-by-side as well, that's fine, and then basically discuss what I've found as to do with sound, graphics, the handling as well, and everything else that goes along with that. Now, disclaimer, this isn't having a go at one title or the other. This was just something that popped into my head, basically because they'd, with the new update Automobilista, they'd made the Lister Storm and a couple of other cars free. It used to be in a pack that you had to buy, so it's free. So I thought, well, yeah, why not? You know me, guys, trying to do stuff on the cheap. Yeah, maybe I would have done it anyway. I mean, I think the packs are only like a couple of £1 each for Automobilista 2. But as I said, with the new update version 1.6.9.9, as I said, this pack's free. There's other changes, force feedback and everything else. Now, I'm not going to be messing with force feedback. This is like straight out the box. Apples for apples between both. I'm just going to drive in default setup, default settings for the wheelbase that I'm on, and that's it. So what we'll do, without further ado, I will basically jump into the side-by-sides. Obviously, there'll be the volume of each clip will be bouncing between Project Motor Racing and Automobilista 2. And then at the end, I says I'm going to give you my thoughts on, like I says, handling, graphics, sound, everything else like that. But as I said, this isn't a have a go at one title to the other. This is basically what I've found. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So then, what did you think? I did do a rev part of the video or replay where I sit just outside the pits on both titles and rev the engine to get a sound, but I think you can sort of pretty much pick up what the sound differences are between the two titles. Now, as I said, I'm going to give my thoughts, what I like about one to the other and what I don't like. So let's start with the sound, because I think it's a biggie for me. I always sort of thought that the sound on Project Motor Racing was good until I obviously done this comparison between the actual two vehicles themselves, the two cars. Now, I like Automobilista too. I don't know what you guys thought, but I just think it just sounds, I don't know, can you make a sound mechanical? It just sounds a lot more real, I'd say. Now, I don't know what a Lister Storm sounds like in real life. I should have really maybe had a look online, the beauty of YouTube, and then click that in as well and just see which title is closer. But for me, I like the sound on AMS2. It just seems a deeper sound. You've got other noises going on when you're in the cockpit and everything else. So yeah, for me, the sound of Automobilista 2 beats Project Motor Racing, definitely. Now, inside view and everything else, sort of graphic wise, obviously I apologise for the Automobilista 2 one. I'm running that on triples, and it obviously sort of stretches, and I've got to manipulate the screen and everything else. So it's obviously come across slightly different to Project Motor Racing. But again, as far as sort of graphics wise, whether it's inside, outside, I mean, maybe even talk about the replays. I think the sort of some of the replay camera angles on Project Motor Racing are better than AMS2, and vice versa with that sort of said short lap round Donington. So graphics wise, obviously it's a newer title, Project Motor Racing. I like the graphics better on Project Motor Racing. Yes, I haven't cranked up the graphics to the fullest on AMS2 because, as I said, I'm running on triples. It's difficult, so you have to sort of make some sacrifices. But even then, with say sacrificing on Project Motor Racing, as I've found out these last few months, when you're tweaking with the graphical settings, I still think, as I said, for me, Project Motor Racing is the better looking game. Cars look better. Obviously, they're more sort of, I wouldn't say up to date, but just the whole sort of reflection and everything else on the cars, the details just look better in Project Motor Racing. Now, onto the biggie that probably most people want to know, especially you console guys, because obviously AMS2 isn't on console, don't know whether it's ever going to be coming to console. It'd be nice if it did, if they could port it over quite easily, because I said I do enjoy it. I don't do enough of it, but I think just the selection of cars and everything else, a bit like Project Motor Racing, you've got a whole selection of cars, different categories and everything else, but you've got the open wheelers and stuff on AMS2. So, and a lot of people are modding as well because it's been out a lot longer than Project Motor Racing. So the actual overall handling, the feel, straight out the box, as I said, this was default settings. There was no me messing about with the feedback, no me messing about with the steer ratio, anything like that. This was straight out the box, apples for apples. And for me, I like AMS2 for the sole fact of it just, I don't know, it just gives me a bit more through the wheel. Don't get me wrong. I think Project Motor Racing's feedback and everything else through the wheel is really, really good. But what grabbed me was how much more difficult AMS2 Lister Storm was to drive. Now, obviously, none of them have got aids, no ABS, no traction control. And, I mean, as soon as I come out the pits, okay, cold tyres, the car wanted to kill you. First gear, second gear, the back end was going. You just had to really be on it. Even once the tyres were warm, after a lap or two, the car just wanted to kill you. You really had to fight with the car. Yes, dialing in the setup and everything else probably would have helped, but I just think the characteristics of this on AMS2, that's how it is. No TC, no track, no ABS, just there to kill you. You've got to modulate your throttle. Whereas on the flip side with Project Motor Racing, yeah, no TC, no ABS, but it's easier. It's a lot more difficult to get the back end to start to step out to the point where, yeah, it will just completely go round on you. Now, obviously, some people will like that. Some people like that it's easier, that you can get the car around the track. I'm in a sort of catch-22. I like the cars to be a little bit harder. I think at the start they were a lot more playful on Project Motor Racing. I think they've just dialed them in maybe a bit too much for me. At the end of the day, you want to run traction control because you can't handle the car, run it. But give the people that don't want to run TC, that want to have a bit of fun, that want to sort of catch that slide, that want to, yeah, give them that opportunity as well. So for me, handling wise, yes, it's only the one car. But for me, AMS2 wins this. As I said, you might call me a bit sadistic. You know what I mean? It's like, no, we want a slightly easier car to drive, even with no TC and ABS. But I just find certain tracks as well, it's fun, where you can step that rear out whenever you want to, because you've planted the throttle too early, you've been in the wrong gear, stuff like that. It just gives you more of a sense of being in the car. You get more reward when you get that car around the track in a good time. Now, talking about times as well, I was pleasantly surprised, obviously going on that AMS2's version was harder to drive, that there was only a second in a lap time. Now, like I said, I only done a few laps in each car. I reckon I could have got maybe the lap time a lot closer, setups involved and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, straight out the box, it was only about a second difference. Now, obviously, you'd say, yeah, it's quicker on Project Motor Racing because it's easier to drive, which I suppose is true in a way. But as I said, with setups and everything else, I think you could dial it in quite close. So, but yeah, they're my three things. So really, you've got no winner, no loser, because I said the sound I like AMS2, the graphics I like Project Motor Racing, but the actual overall drive, and as I said, that's not dialing in the feedback and everything else, I like AMS2. So yeah, it's an interesting one. As I said, I only wanted to do this because of the actual two cars. I could have done any car, to be fair, but obviously being the Lister Storm, the poster child of Project Motor Racing, I just thought it'd be nice to do that. And yeah, at the end of the day, I said, you guys, everyone's different, everyone's got their own opinions, so I'd love to hear from the guys that have actually got both titles and let me know what you think. Let me know, obviously, yeah, was there, say, issues with running stock on AMS2, did messing about with the force feedback, which obviously I didn't do, tweaking stuff, did that help a lot? What do you like? Do you like, yeah, AMS2 over Project Motor Racing? But as I said at the start, and I'll reiterate again, this isn't about knocking one title to the other. This was just getting in two of the same car and just putting them side by side and seeing which one won out. So yeah, that's me. I'm going to go. Hopefully I'll maybe do some videos like this in the future, obviously, because there is a lot of cars that are the same in both titles, and see if we do get a sort of what would be the word, yeah, maybe in the future I could do this again. Obviously there is the same cars in both titles, and see if we can get a sort of similar pattern going, I suppose, with like I said, what I've said, yeah, I like the graphics on PMR, but I like the sound and handling on AMS2. I mean, it might change. Obviously, both titles are changing. They are getting updates and everything else. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Again, let me know your thoughts in the description box below. What title do you like? And yeah, as always, I'll catch you on the next one.